and start. Probably more people might be coming in, but it's good that we are a small group of people. Actually, can I ask if we can get a little bit closer, like can you share tables? Sorry, we should have asked before. Just because we're going to be workshopping the second half, so it's better if we get groups together. Also, if you are a Spanish speaker, we're going to do this in English. But if you speak Spanish and would like some translation, we have a simultaneous translator. Brian, raise your hand. He can help you if you need it. He's going to be sitting on the right-hand side, on this side of the room. Thanks, Brian. Can you raise your hand if you need a translation? Yeah? So maybe just move to this corner of the room. Great. Yeah. ¿O Brian mejor en esta? Como quieras. Ah, está bien. Okay, great. All right, let's kick it off, and if more people come in, we'll just welcome them silently. So thank you, everyone, for your interest, and thanks for being here and joining us. This workshop was organized with the idea of sharing with you some of our, I guess, learnings and experiences in implementing social performance management. We'll talk a little bit more about the details of our strategies. Before I start, I'll just introduce myself, and I allow each of you guys to introduce. So I work for Opportunity International. I'm a program coordinator. My current focus is on this initiative, social performance management, globally. I have been with Opportunity for over 3 years. And as you can tell from my accent, I'm originally from Mexico, but I'm based in Australia, Sydney. I work mainly with Asian partners, MFIs, India, the Philippines, Indonesia. But we are rolling out the social performance management program across all of the Opportunity Network partners. My background is in finance. I worked in the investment banking sector for 4 or 5 years. After that, I went to Australia and discovered the microfinance world and decided that that was a little bit more meaningful and purposeful. And I do see this sector as an investment banking for good reasons, you know, like more of a meaning with it. So that's about me. I'll let Lianna introduce herself.
Hello, everyone. My name is Lianna Mora. I'm from Costa Rica, and I work for Oikocredit. I've been working for Oico for 5 years now, and I am the Social Performance and Capacity Building Regional Coordinator. And today, as well, I'm going to share with you our strategy. Obviously, it's like very briefly, because there are a lot of things going on in Oikocredit and social performance. But I'm just going to be like, I'll try to be really brief. Yeah, exactly. So thank you for being here and join us.
Is it on? Hello? Hi, I'm Frank Ballard. I'm with Grameen Foundation. I work for the Social Performance Management Center, which really is just the PPI. I'm not sure if all of you know what that is, but it's a social performance tool that measures poverty. So we'll talk a little bit about that in a second. I've been with Grameen Foundation and their DC office for 2 years now. I work to make sure that our users are using the tool correctly. So I provide user support and training services as well.
Hello, good morning, everybody. My name is Sandhya Suresh, and I am coming from India. I work with a microfinance institution by the name of ESAF Microfinance. We have a clientele of nearly 650,000 poor families, poor women, and we work in nearly 7 states of India. I'm really excited to be here because we have taken serious steps to institutionalize social performance management in our organization. And when it comes to managing the social data, that's what we are looking at, and that's what I am looking at because I'm working as an SPM manager with ESAF. So today I'll be sharing some of our our strategy and are the steps that we have taken to institutionalize social data and to institutionalize social performance so that this makes much more sense in improving our products and services. Thank you.
Thanks, Sandhya, Frank, and Lianna for being in this panel with me. So just before we start, I'll just tell you a little bit about the format of this workshop. We will be talking to you each of the networks. So we have 3 networks and 1 practitioner who we actually share across the networks. So ESAF is partner of Grameen, is partner of Opportunity, and is partner of Oikocredit as well. So it's quite, thank you, Sandhya, for being here all the way from India. So the first 40 minutes will be about a little bit of us, but the second half of the workshop, it will be more of a live case studies of data. So we will share with you data sets from across the world, and we are hoping that you can give us some insights on what you see in the data. So we might ask you to, I guess, trigger your analytical brains and actually get insights from what the data that we're getting from our partners. The topic of this workshop is how to drive performance using social data. And we might not have all the answers, but we have some learnings and some experiences to be shared with you. And again, I think the concept of a workshop is really getting everybody's knowledge and learning. So we really want your input and insights into the second half. So hopefully the first half you will find it interesting. I'll start with Opportunity, but before we start, I actually just wanted to understand who's in the audience. Can I just ask who represents networks of microfinance institutions? There's one, Women's World Banking, Opportunity, DSK, Opportunity. Well, you are a practitioner. So who represents MFIs? Practitioners in the field, warriors, right? Investors? No? No investors? Yeah, investors, some of them over there. Okay, so we have a good mix of people, I guess. And can I also ask how many of your institutions have a double bottom line or have some sort of social mission to be achieved? Yeah? Okay, a couple that don't, which is great. I guess you can also bring us some insights from a more, I guess, for-profit mindset. How many of those with a social mission know and understand how well you are performing on your social mission? Yeah, really well? Okay. So, Anne, good? Yeah, more or less? All right. So, I guess it's not simple. Social missions are usually complex, ambitious, with very subjective objectives. For example, we can start with Opportunity. ¿Hacia dónde? Ahí está. So let's take Opportunity. What is our purpose? We say that our mission is, by providing financial solutions and training, we empower people living in poverty to transform their lives, their children's future, and their communities. We have a vision of a world in which all people have the opportunity to achieve a life free from poverty with dignity and purpose. Very strong words in this mission. We have the word empower, we have the word transform. But I guess the question for me and for Opportunity in general is, how are we achieving this? Are we achieving this? Are we actually doing this? As a network of microfinance institutions, we have 2 types of members. We have support members who operate on the fundraising side, so we fundraise donor money to then fund our implementing members, the MFIs, working in the field. Both from a support member perspective and an implementing member perspective, I think this question is quite relevant. We care about being accountable and transparent, especially with our supporters and donors, who give us their money, they trusting that we are achieving something powerful, something meaningful. And I guess the idea is to be able to respond to that question. Are we performing? Are we achieving what we say we want to achieve? There are a few quotes that I like, which really address some of these concepts, I guess. I don't have them on slide, but I'm just going to read them. So measurement. Measurement is the first step that leads to control and eventually to improvement. If you can't measure something, you can't understand it. If you cannot understand it, you cannot control it. If you cannot control it, you can't improve it. So we want to improve people's lives. We want to transform their lives, but we need to understand how we're doing so. A more popular, I guess, quote from Bill Gates, and you might be familiar with this, is setting clear goals and finding measures that will mark progress towards them can improve the human condition. That was his letter last year. I guess this summit has done that. We have a very clear goal, 100 million families lifted out of poverty by, I'm not sure which year is it, 2015, 16? Huh? 2030, okay. So long-term goal, which is great. Again, the question, how are we performing against that goal? And we have lots of commitments. Opportunity has done a commitment around measurement itself. We want to measure how we are lifting people out of poverty. We have committed to use a PPI, a tool that Grameen Foundation has developed. And we have other commitments as well, but I'll just mention that one. So I guess it's all about tracking, measuring, setting goals, targets, and seeing how you're progressing. So that's basically our vision for social performance. We want to understand the needs of clients to empower them to transform their lives. So understanding who they are, what they need, and their profiles, their characteristics. Are they poor or are they not poor? We ensure best practice in the delivery of our services to protect our clients. That's a key, I guess, feature of our social performance strategy to ensure best practices. We need to deliver services being client protected, ensuring no harm to our clients. We then improve outcomes through the use of consistent and comprehensive social data, adjusting our products and services through the use of such data. And we also use the data to communicate to our supporters, to be more effective communicators, to demonstrate maybe. I don't like the word demonstrate, but at the end of the day, it's showing what we're doing and how well we are doing it. That's our vision. And I guess that diagram reflects a feedback loop of data, better targeting clients, better transforming clients' lives. How are we doing on time? Can you track? Okay. So you probably have seen this diagram, but basically what we want to do is being strategic about this. So we have a social mission, we strategize around how we're going to achieve such mission. What are the products, our microfinance products, that will achieve what we want to be achieving through our social mission? We operate these products. We go to the field, disburse loans, we interact with clients, we give them training, we provide solutions for these clients. At the end of the question, we see results. What are the results that we want to see? Again, are we reaching the right clients? Are we meeting their needs? And are we transforming their lives? Those are the three general high-level questions that we are hoping to achieve. But why I like this diagram is it's about the feedback loop. It's about we get information on the result side, and then that informs our strategies, that informs how we change products and services. There's a lot of data collection in the field, and there's very little use of such data at the strategy level. So we want to be linking that. We want to be smarter and more effective at what we're doing. So how are we doing this? We have developed a core set of measures which are consistent and applicable across our organizations. Social indicators, sometimes we call it KPIs. We're setting targets around this, and we are measuring, putting tools in place, surveys, or whatever we need to actually measure. We also have institutional indicators, which I'll come back to that. Best practices, we are endorsing and implementing universal standards and SMART. If you were in yesterday's session, you will have heard everything about those initiatives, so I'm not going to repeat that, but Opportunity has committed to implement this and to get all our partners and MFIs into this journey of best practices. I think this is a really key component of our social performance strategy. It's a journey, so we are actually funding and providing technical assistance to build capacity in the MFIs. We cannot just ask for this to happen overnight. We understand we need to handhold our MFIs. They're pretty busy with everything that they're doing, so we need some guidance and also some technical assistance that can allow them to achieve what we want them to achieve. And then we're rolling out this strategy globally, sharing and collaborating and just cross-learning opportunities across the network. So in terms of the framework of core set of indicators, I'm not going to go into detail. If you have the pink report from Opportunity, you can see the detail on page 7. But this is our dashboard. And it's basically looking at key areas that we would like to address through these indicators. Again, are we reaching the right targets? What type of services are we delivering? How are we delivering these services? So client protection. Some indicators around these are client retention, staff retention. If you're not retaining your staff, there is a big chance that your clients are not being served the best way they could be. Are we meeting client needs? We're really looking at client satisfaction measures. I don't know if you've heard Net Promoter Score, but that would be one. And some other, we're trialing and testing, really wanting to understand the client satisfaction. At the end of the day, we're providing a value-added product, which the client needs to be satisfied with. So we want to understand that any business does that, why microfinance institutions wouldn't. How are these services transforming these lives? So this is a tough section of the dashboard and one that we are being challenged with, again, using PPI and other tools. Communication externally and best practices. So these kind of a framework, if you want, and we are developing tools to report on all these indicators. These are sections, but under each section we have specific indicators, and all our MFIs have endorsed and want to achieve, I guess, having similar social missions, it's quite easy to set up common frameworks. Best practices, again, SPTF and SMART. I'm not going to go into detail with this. And not working. There. Building capacity, so we are actually partnering with technical assistance providers like Microsafe, Microfinance rating, which is not a technical assistance as such, but we are certifying our MFIs in SMART with Microfinance and also ADA Rural. We are starting work in Latin America with some local providers as well. And ourselves, we see our SPM team, I guess, as technical or guidance. We are providing guidance to the MFIs that we work with. So just the last slide, and I'll give it to you, Lianna. So a global rollout by end of 2014, we will have rolled out our SPM initiative across 25 partners. In India, we have 10. In Southeast Asia, we have signed up 4. Africa, 7. Eastern Europe, 2. And Latin America, we're just about to kick off the initiative with Colombia. And Brian is here representing Colombia, and potentially another partner. Again, the end of this whole initiative is we are working towards best practice. We are collecting social data regularly on a core set of social indicators. We are actively, this is very important, actively using such data to improve client outcomes, building a culture of measurement to drive performance, not just collecting for collecting data, but actually using it and having a culture of improvement. And then we're reporting on this set of social indicators externally, hopefully making us more effective fundraisers and promoters of microfinance. So with that, I'm just going to leave it with you and let Oiko talk about their approach.
Thank you. I'm just going to wait until my presentation is on the screen. For the ones who were not here before, my name is Lianna Mora, and I work for Oikocredit. I've been working with Oiko for 5 years now, so it's good to have you all here today. Well, for those who don't or who are not familiar with Oikocredit, Oiko is a worldwide cooperative and is also a social investor, providing funding to the microfinance sector, fair trade organizations, cooperatives, and small and medium-sized enterprises. We are located in, our main office is located in the Netherlands, but we also have offices around the world. I am based in San Jose, Costa Rica, and I work for Mexico, Central America, and the Caribbean. But we also have offices in Peru, and Uruguay, India, and so on. Our mission, let's all read it. It's Oikocredit challenges all to invest responsibly. It provides financial services and supports organizations to improve the quality of life of low-income people or communities in a sustainable way. This is our mission, and to make sure we are achieving that mission, Oiko has developed a strategy that consists of three main pillars. Is that correct? Pillars, right? The first one, it's more like an internal objective, but it will have a direct impact on the end client, which is to choose the right partners. Is the one of the main ones. And then we also have two more, which are support partners to sustainably deliver value to the end clients. And finally, hold partners accountable for their goals and to monitor and evaluate those goals. I'm going to start with the first objective, which is to choose the right partners. We have three categories that we can let's say divide our project partners in three main categories, which are those organizations that are doing very good in both social and financial terms, right? Like they have set social goals, they have indicators to monitor their goals, also they're doing in financial terms very good, right? With good numbers, they're sustainable. And also we can finance, or we are looking for those organizations who can do better. Maybe they are a little bit they're not financially strong. They need to some kind of support to make them stronger. So we are looking for those organizations that are like really want to improve their operations, and also they want to do better in social terms. Maybe they lack the MSI systems to monitor their clients. So we can also we would like to find those organizations to help them out. And we also are looking for those organizations that maybe are very strong financially, but they are not that strong in social terms, but they are not harming their clients. And that is something very important, because we have for that to be able to know what category each project partner belongs to. We have developed internal tools. One of them is the ESG scorecard, which is E, environmental. We analyze the environmental operations that they have. G stands for governance, and S for social. So we evaluate every project partners or every potential project partner, and we do a very, I think, and I consider is very deep social due diligence, right? To know exactly what category each potential project partners belongs to. So any of potential project partner enter any of these categories, we know that at least they are not harming the end clients. So these are the three main categories we have. And we also do an annual social survey, which has allowed us to even know better our project partners. We do we have MFIs that are founded by Oikocredit here in the audience? But funded by it, yeah. Yes. Okay, great. So we have, every year we send out like it's not that long, is it? It's a social survey, so which has allowed us to know better our project partners. We know how many people live in the rural areas, how many people live in urban areas. I mean, we have the segmentation of all our, not only our project partners, but we also have got to know the end clients. So that is something that has helped us a lot. And on your tables, I have shared the social report. It is in Spanish. I'm really sorry for those who don't speak Spanish, but I can share with you the one in English, and it's in our webpage. And then, as opportunity does as well, we also provide technical assistance to our project partners. And we support partners in different ways, but for example, with the goal of improving outreach, targeting, and inclusion, we have helped in all in the regions we are based or we work in. We have, for example, developed strategies to work with the PPI. In my region, for example, we worked with Red Camif in a sample, in a pilot project. We selected 21 organizations among our region. We trained those organizations on how to use the data, how to collect data, first of all, how to use it, and how to report on that data. And eventually, what we are trying to do is to help them to report every year. Sometimes it's hard, and I'm going to talk about that later, but what has happened, and this is one of the difficulties, is that in our sector, in the microfinance sector, you train people one day, and 1 year after, that person that we train is not longer working it doesn't work for the organization anymore, right? So when we go back to the organization, we say, like, let's work on this, the last report you presented, let's work for the new one. And they say, the thing is that the person that you trained is not working for my organization anymore, so we have to go back from the beginning, basically. And that is something that has happened to Oiko a lot. I don't know if it has happened to you as well. And then, since we don't work with MFIs only, but we have also diversified our portfolio, we also financed agricultural and other kind of projects. We have also helped them we have created special products for them. Like, for example, in the coffee sector, we know that there is a problem with the coffee plantations. They are getting older, so we also created special products according to the needs of our project partners. And we also support the development of certain products that we know that the end clients need. For example, the micro insurance product that it was developed by Red Camif. So Oikocredit has worked on providing educational training or education training to those to end clients among the region. Secondly, the tracking changes at the end client level, as well with PPI, is not only that we provide 1 day training or 2 days training and we are gone, but we have seriously taken steps to go further. And in Oikocredit, we have a special team that has that actually goes to an organization and stay with them for, I don't know, 1 week, and they review the data that organization is collecting. And then what we are trying to do is to have one person to provide like follow-up. They have like Skype calls just to make sure that they are actually working with the data, that they understand what's going on with that information. So that's something that we are trying to do. Our approach is not, oh my God, yeah. Approach is not only to leave the tool and walk away, but we go even farther. Incubation and cooperatives, we work, this is not microfinance, so I'm just skip that. Obviously, we have worked as well in the promotion of all of the initiatives that are currently on the field. The client protection transparency, we work on the certification. We have now currently trying to certificate 2 organizations in our region. That is something very important for us. We have also promoted a true lift among our project partners, CERICE, MFI transparency, social performance task force. We have been involved in every single initiative, I think, there is in the sector. As well, in my region particularly, we work very closely with Red Camif, and they have developed this software for social monitoring. And as again, besides the technical solution that we provided, we have hired a consultant. She's Costa Rican, and she provides a very close follow-up to those 6 organizations who are running the software. She calls them, and this is, I think, something very important, because she calls them every week, and they exchange like how the data collection is doing. They review the social goals she has set with them, of course, and actually they are the one who set the indicators they are going to monitor, and so on. I think something that very important is that at this point, we as founders cannot pretend that the organizations are going to do everything by their own. If we are asking for these indicators, and if we are asking for them to monitor social goals and to be accountable, we also need to provide some the support or support to them. They cannot just do it by themselves. We have also worked very hard in the promotion of the mentors program, which I don't have it in my region, but it has been developed in Africa, in Peru, and Uruguay. And when I say those countries, it's not that program is only in those countries, but in those regions. So that program has been really important, because it also has helped the organizations to make a self-assessment on their social performance. We provide, again, local capacity. We have trained a lot of local capacity to help them improve. And I'm sorry, I'm running. Okay, no, I'll try to just skip this part. And just to share with you our difficulties.
Why don't we leave the difficulties for Sandhya?
Okay, perfect.
She will be the one touching.
Okay, okay.
We've done, yeah, but we're running late. No, but you want to wrap up?
Yeah, no, the experience, obviously, it's been really interesting at the beginning, and still, I think it's kind of hard, but I think we are doing, we are given like strong steps. At the beginning, the organizations, we had to train them, like, what is social performance, why are we doing this and that, but now when you approach to the MFIs, it's so much easier. At least now we are all on the same page, that social performance is on the table. It's not something new. They know, or the MFIs now know what social performance is about, and that is something that we should be like at least happy and relieved. Like, it's not something new for anybody else. So we are on the, I think we are getting there. Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Lianna. Frank?
Tatiana, All right, great. So, yeah, we have lunch coming up, so I know you're all very hungry, and we don't want to delay that, so I'll quickly go through my presentation, and until it's up and ready, I'll just start off. So, I work with Grameen Foundation, and our mission is to enable the poor, especially the poorest, to create a world without poverty. So you heard poor and poverty a lot in that our focus is the poor, and we, everything that we do is around working with the poorest and then tracking that work to make sure that we're actually helping the poor. So we have sort of picked up on 4 main issues that the poor face. One is an inability to sustain shocks if there's an illness in the family or if there's a natural disaster. They wouldn't be able to sort of pick up their lives where they were before that disaster. Also, a lack of income, and a lack of actionable information, and finally, their needs are not understood by those who try to help them. Well, some of us understand their needs, but not fully. So our ways of dealing with these problems are to provide information services to the poor as well as financial services, and also to develop tools that provide insights to organizations that work with the poor. And so our vision for social performance is that social performance is fully integrated into operations, that it's used for ongoing M&E, and then finally that it's used for decision making. And I think that's why we're all here. We want to see other ways that organizations are using data in innovative ways that are helping them do their business better, run their business better. And for that we have our 2014 campaign commitment, which is all around showing the value of having data. The value that it can be gained from using this. Oh, does this work? Okay. We are there. Okay, so yeah, exactly, showing the value of social performance data. And then finally, for social performance, our goal is to do good well, not just focus on doing no harm. So we have 3 tools that we've developed to sort of meet these needs. The first is the PPI. Is there anyone in the audience that doesn't know what the PPI is? Has never heard of the PPI? Okay, we have a few. So just quickly, it's a 10-question survey. It's a poverty measurement tool. It's something that you give to households, administer to households, to get an indication, a likelihood that they are below a certain poverty line. It's built on national data, so it's objective, and it's very easy to complete. It takes a few minutes, and if an MFI already has interaction with a client on an ongoing basis, then it's something easy to just add in. It can be used to measure your poverty outreach, determine a poverty rate of your client base, and you can also use that to see if there are any changes over time. Another thing that it can be used for is just as an indicator. It's a variable that can be used in customer research, any sort of analysis, to see if poverty level has any impact on the way that your clients interact with your products and services. So that's the missing piece, and that's what we really hope to bring out in the coming year.
Frank, can I just add something?
Sure.
So it's a tool that it's really helping us answer the question, are we reaching the right people? We have a lot of MFIs, probably in common, that they say we are reaching people living in poverty, and then when you use this statistical tool, it turns out that they're actually not that poor. So it's basically an outreach tool, like who's your target base and client base, and how, in which poverty bands do they lie? Right.
So yeah, outreach is the #1 use. And then we're also really trying to push that you can use the poverty level information to sort of see, again, how your clients are interacting with your products and services in different poverty bands. The next slide is on TerraWorks, which I doubt many of you are very familiar with. It is a data collection tool. It's something that you can have as an app on an Android cellular phone, and so many of the world now has that phone, so it's really easy to go into the field and collect data. You don't need to have data or a Wi-Fi connection to collect the data. You can just upload it once you actually have a connection. But we came up with this tool because we wanted a way for organizations to collect data that was of good quality. So many times we collect data and we have people's year of birth as that year itself, and that not having clean data prevents us from actually going into that data to use it. We need good quality data to come up with good decisions based on that data. So the tool can be used to collect signatures. You can take photos with it. You can also track your GPS location, and it's all uploaded onto a server, which is Salesforce. That's the back end, and you can then analyze data from there. But it's just one way to sort of collect better data, either social performance data as well as financial data. And then just one quick other thing that we do with social performance that is internal, we have Motive, and it is a due diligence tool that is used to assess our investees. So any partners that we have, we assess their social performance and their performance overall, but specifically with an emphasis on social performance to see whether or not we would want to partner with them. So it's Motive. It's called Motive because it's an acronym. The M is for mission and organization commitment. Second is outreach, and we're talking about poverty outreach because we're so focused on poverty. The third is treatment of clients, and so that goes along with client protection principles. And so if an organization has been SMART certified or SMART assessed, then obviously that would feed into this. We wouldn't have to duplicate work. I is for innovation and value add. Are your clients getting products and services that are suitable for them, that are helping them? And then finally, verification and measurement. So are you actually tracking your social performance? Again, the reason we're here is to see innovative ways that social performance...
Skip that one.
Oh, really?
Well,
It's the best part.
okay, go for it. Sorry.
I was really excited about these.
I feel terrible. Sorry. Go for it.
No, yeah, we don't have to go over the other
go,
stuff.
go.
So here are ways to segment using the PPI. I loved this. It's from Friendship Bridge. It's an impact report, and what they've done is created customer profiles based on poverty bands. And so here we have Maria, who is the poorest band, and then I can't read up there. Juana, and then what's the last one? Catalina. Okay. So in this way, they're able to create a profile for each of their poverty bands and better provide products and services to those individuals. I'm going quick. Sorry.
You're fine.
And then another one is just market research, using the tool to understand if your intervention is going to work or not. If you want to provide a mobile solution to focus specifically on the very poor, then it would probably be helpful to see if the very poor have access to cellular mobile phones. In this case, the extreme poor, which is under $1.25 a day, only 12.5% of them have access to a cell phone. So that intervention is probably not going to work unless you're able to also provide cell phones. I'll skip this. Challenges to overcome, I think this is a pretty big one. I think everyone says there is a lack of sufficient resources. I think it's always a cost-benefit analysis. Is what you're getting out of tracking social performance worth the time and effort that needs to go into it, as well as finance? So I think once there is the value that's shown that comes from social performance data, and I think Moody's Analytics is working on some research now to see how social performance aligns with financial performance. And the other challenge that we have is that we have a lot of data out there. I mean, speaking on behalf of the PPI, there are thousands and thousands and thousands, hundreds of thousands of data points of the PPI, but organizations are just sitting there. They don't know how to do anything with it. So they need examples. They need to be shown innovative ways to use that data for good. And that's what we want to work on. And then finally, the confusion that's caused by the separate social performance management initiatives. It just...
Too many things.
Too many things. But the way that's being worked on is with the Responsible Inclusive Finance Group, and we're meeting with them as well. We're meeting to sort of align all of our initiatives and our objectives to make sure that the practitioner knows how to go about social performance the right way. But it's always a very sort of unique situation for each MFI. So I think any progress in social performance is a good sign. If you're not hitting the client protection principles right away, that's okay. You just need to move in the right direction. And after all that, I will pass it to Sandhya, and she has 3 slides, so she is much better than the rest of them.
Can I just say something before Sandhya? So I think you just heard from the 3 networks, and we're great at theoretical and high-level stuff. And I'm really pleased that Sandhya can be here because she is the sufferer of our strategies. She is the one that bears the pain working with an organization of 500,000 clients in India, trying to implement things that measure. Surveys, tools, client protection principles, over-indebtedness, client exit interviews, etc. Right? So I'm just going to leave you with Sandhya, which I think is going to be a very, a powerful and from the field perspective. Thanks, Sandhya.
Thank you, Tatiana, for that wonderful background. Yeah, in a way, Tatiana is correct. With all that is happening, we know that they're the best tools that is available in the form of SPI4, the PPI, TrueLift, and the best standards in the form of USSPM, the client protection, certification, assessment, so much. But, and we have heard the investors, the technical support, providers, and with whatever externally is available, if there is no willingness and internal drive within an MFI, within a practitioner, to have a social performance institutionalized within their own system, embedded within their own system, I don't think all that is available externally to push MFIs do that will result into any sort of transformation or change in a longer run. So when I speak here, I speak, I guess, on behalf of all the microfinance practitioners, because we all have enormous amount of work to do. We need to pay reasonable amount of returns to our investors. We are worried about our portfolio. We are worried about our client dropouts. There's so much. And still, I think if you understand that the social data that's coming in, if it's managed very efficiently, if it is managed intelligently, and if we see social data in power with our financial data, it will make much more sense to deliver our products and services efficiently. So in ESAF, we have been doing it phase by phase. So I would just like to share our experience of how we are trying to institutionalize and take a step-by-step, cause and effect challenge in putting the social data into place. So we're seeing it as an end-to-end process. Possibly I'll just... I have very few slides because I won't be talking about the whole SPM strategy that we have put into place, but just a small loop that we are following to see that the social data that we are getting in makes much more sense, not only to us, but to our communities whom we are serving. So I see it, we see it in this loop. This is called the end-to-end process. Even though it's an end-to-end process, it's a never-ending process. From the point where it gets ended, there's a beginning. So very quickly, I would just like you to, kind of come along with me to see what the whole process of end-to-end is. Like the first one, yes, we need to define, if we have a vision and mission, probably that's not enough. That's not enough. We need to get deeper into our vision and mission, to codify it and see, and break it down into the social goals to see if we want to meet our vision and mission, what sort of social goals, what sort of social objectives should we have. And to get deeper into the social goals and objectives, we need to have social targets and indicators to measure, because if you're not measuring your targets and indicators, you will not be able to achieve your social goals, and finally you're not meeting or translating your vision and mission into reality. So the core thing is to set up your social target, social objectives, and the indicators to measure that. So in ESAF, what we have done is that we have had our dimensions and the data to be collected. What data will we collect to go about meeting this social target? So we had an ex-SPM strategy with our senior management and also with our loan officers at different levels to see what sort of benchmarks can we put so that the social target is much more realistic and much more measurable and achievable. So we are doing it in the sense like we have put our poverty outreach, the reaching the marginalized, because we are saying in our vision statement that we'll uplift the marginalized communities. But unless we know who these marginalized people are, we won't be able to do that. So we have specified it in our social targets as to who these marginalized people are. Then we are also trying to access women's empowerment. When I say women's empowerment, it could be like women, percentage of women having attended our healthcare programs, percentage of women who have attended our leadership programs, percentage of women who are having land ownership, percentage of women who run a business enterprise of their own, percentage of women who are giving employment to other women. So these are the indicators that we have kind of developed. If you're interested, I can share you the details of our social targets later, but in the best interest of time, I'm not using it right now. Then going on to, and once you've fixed up your social targets, it's very necessary that prior to the data collection on that, your staff knows why the social targets have been created in such a way. What is the relevance of collecting data on this parameter? So staff training is very important, and for that we have developed modules, and we have tried to see that we have made an yearly calendar so that whatever targets we have set, it goes. We have almost like 1,700 staff. So in a yearly calendar for training, we have set aside different parameters so that the training actually goes down to all this 1,700 staff. Then comes the data collection phase. In the data collection phase also, I think we need to decide as to in what form of data we need to collect, what is the best tool that we have to implement, whether we'll do it on the sample basis or on the census basis. Like the PPI, we have started doing it in 2010, but it was on the sample basis. But now we have systems. We have integrated our PPI tool in the system, so we are doing it on the census basis. And we have to decide like who will collect the data, and at the place of collection of the data. It has to be that minute. It has to be specified. It has to be specified so that there is no room for any confusion. If your loan officer is to collect that, you need to specify that It will be collected by the loan officer at this place, at the place of the client, or in a center meeting. Where exactly will it take place? The supervision or the verification of the data. How much sample will you take when you verify the quality of the data? Who will do the verification? Will it be done by the regional manager or the area manager or the audit team? How much sample will you take? What is the methodology? How much of rejection of error? What is the tolerance level to maintain the quality of data? These are the minute things we need to decide on when we develop the platform for data collection, prior to the data collection. Then comes the stage of data storage and data management, because all the data that has been collected, it has to be stored, it has to be managed well. As in the client protection yesterday, we heard Isabel talking about the client protection, where the privacy of client data is so important. So I think data storage and management talks about that. Where you have your data in hard copies, you have your data in soft copies. Where will it be placed? Well, you have to place it in a safe place in the loan application form. Who will be in charge of the key where all this KYC or know your customer documents are kept? Yeah? And same with the soft copies. Who will have the password to look into this sort of data? All that has to be sorted out. At the time of data entry, who will do the data entry? Will it happen at the level of a CPU, the central processing unit? How will the data reach there? Will it come in the scanned form, or will it come in the hard copy? Who will do the data entry? Will it be outsourced, or will your internal staff do that? If your internal staff is doing that, do they have the capacity to do that? Yeah? And then again, at the time of data entry, you need to do the verification. You have to take the samples and do the verification. Who will do it, how they will do it, is something which we have to talk, we have to decide. Yeah, and then comes data analysis and reporting, the most important part of it. Like in ESAF, we have the R&D department, so we do the data analysis. But prior to the data analysis, the data transfer. Who will seek the data from whom? Like every month, the R&D department seeks it from the MIS. So that has to be sorted, because the MIS department will have like thousands and thousands of data. But it's we who have to ask the right amount of data. You know, in which format are we asking the data? Is it in the Excel format, or we are just giving the list of indicators and they will provide the data? So that has to be very clear. And data analysis, like who will do it? If it's the R&D staff who is doing it, are they trained on doing that? Do they have the capacity to analyze? You know, and which tool is being used to analyze the data? So this has to be well planned out. And data reporting. What is the frequency of reporting the data? Like, do you report to your senior management every month, or just prior to the board meeting, you develop your reports and report to the board? What is the frequency? That has to be sorted out. The template in which you will report, the dashboards, because it has to be presentable, it has to be readable, it has to make sense. You cannot report on so much of data that actually doesn't make any sense, especially when you're reporting to the top management. They don't have time to go through so much of data. So you just report on what is necessary so that it's enabling them to make quicker decisions. And lastly, the right use of data. Just by reporting, you cannot be ensured that everything is just in place. We need to also see that that data has been used to improve your products and services. We need to also see whether this product is being used by the target population for whom that product was designed. Are the poor people using that or not? Yeah. So all this, I think, aspects have to be talked out, has to be decided, has to be laid down, and it has to be laid down in the paper, so that that document actually goes to all the department, to all the staff, and then we are very clear as to who has to do what, and there is no room for any confusion. I think we have learned it over a period of time. And I guess this loop is very important because even if one of the intermediaries is loosened or weakened, the whole process somewhere gets affected. And I know, like, when we meet among the peer groups and MFIs, there's so much of time and effort that goes into the punching of data, but nothing valuable comes out, nothing meaningful comes out. So when, you know, and MFIs I know are practicing in different terrains, in difficult terrains. In India, like, we have this margin cap. We have to be, like, you know, really efficient with our cost and everything. And so when you're doing it, we have to manage it so efficiently that the data actually should speak volumes about the work that we are doing. So I just wanted to share this small loop, which I think, you know, it looks small, but when we have to invest our time and energy into it, it's certainly an effort, but worth an effort. So, yeah.
Thank you, Sandhya. That was really good. So unfortunately, we are running out of time. We wanted to use 40 minutes of case studying, but we will just have probably 20. So if I can ask you to stay until 12:45. Is that 12:45 or 1:40? 12:45. So why don't we are going to have 6 case studies each. So we have 6 tables here. Each of us will just work with one of you. And before going to that, I just wanted to wrap up on Sandhya's message, because I think it's quite valuable. Use of data. Lianna, myself, probably Frank, as you were saying, the amount of data collected a lot of times in the MFIs is significant, and yet the use of it is sometimes very limited. So the purpose of these case studies is really to look at data and see what we can get out of it, and hopefully you give us some insights, because we might not have the answers, but the case studies are showing something that the MFI took out something from it and then reacted. So we will be workshopping with you, if that's right. Thank you. Yeah? Yeah, the 6 tables.